What up, fools? This is the Unaverage Podcast.
Woo!
Episode 18 or 19.
We're not sure. Welcome to the Well-Organized Podcast. We don't know.
19. Episode 19,
Episode
baby.
19.
Sick.
Today we are with another comic. And her name is Monica.
Hello, everybody.
We met
Monica Gross.
We met her at an open mic Thursday.
Yep.
So what do you guys think about that open mic? I know you wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Holy.
It was a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was,
good.
It was
I thought
all
I
of
was
the
the
things.
only one bombing, bro.
No.
No,
it was you that went up on stage just as that fight broke out,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I went up on stage and someone outside threw a chair at the bar and everyone said, "Stop the mic," and I thought it was a joke. So I was like, haha, like I'm gonna pause, you know?
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, "No, actually shut the fuck up." And I was like, "What?" And then a fight ensued.
Yeah.
So,
All of the men stood up and they were, like, let's add petroleum to this fire. And
Yeah,
they just,
yeah.
decided to
I thought
all go.
that was me. One of
Joe
them
was
me.
straight. Joe, ripped off his sleeves. Straight. I've never seen anything like it. He got, all of a sudden had war paint on. I was like, is that blood? And then he just ran outside. I loved how, he was just so angry, he made an outside chair inside. It was like,
Yeah.
ah! And, threw it at no one or nothing. It just made a
No.
really loud bang.
Yeah.
Then stumbled out backwards into traffic, which, if not advisable, then he was just shouting, we still to this day don't know what the fight was about.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But that was really just the cherry on top of the entire evening, I would say.
It was, I felt bad for you guys because it was your first mic, and I was like, if this was my first open mic, I would give up comedy.
Yeah.
I would be so fucking scared.
Oh, man.
Which actually, you didn't ask me the question, but I'm gonna go into it anyways.
It's okay, we can edit it. Yeah.
Put it in.
Okay, good. 4 years ago, it was my first open mic I did 4 years ago, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I bombed, and I was so freaked out that I didn't do it again.
For 4 years?
For 4 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
for 2 years, I was just like, you know what, it's not worth it. The feeling of bombing is so shit, right?
Yeah.
And then we got into the pandemic, and then I was like, you know what, I want to try this again. I want to do it. And it's I'm doing it now, and things are going better, but I just think I shouldn't have stopped when I bombed,
Yeah.
And that's why when that was your first open mic, I was like, guys, please try another one. Please do not let this be your experience. I don't think one person laughed the whole time.
No,
I
it
did
was so painful.
Yeah.
I did my set.
Yeah.
I got one laugh.
Yeah.
'Cause I was asking Paul about it on the ride home. The only laugh was the 9 to 5 thing, and then after nothing else after that.
Right.
And then at one point, so
And you
I
went
don't
over
know,
your time as
I was
well,
too much
didn't
into
you?
my head.
Yeah.
I thought he was taking pictures of me. I was like, oh, is this guy
You
flexing for
little
the gram right now?
narcissist, yeah. You're the
little
same as me.
Attention whore.
You see a flashing, just a flashing light, and I'd be like, oh, someone's taking a picture of me.
Yeah, all right.
No,
I'm
motherfucker, that's a plane.
I'm tag me, yo, tag me. I'm trying to get more clout right now.
God.
But he flashed me 3 times.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my god, no, I did exactly the same when up on stage. I actually cut a whole bunch of stuff out because I was like, if you guys don't like the start, you're not gonna like the rest of it. I'm not doing the whole thing. Plus, when you're looking out on stage, half the crowd was on their phones, the other half were literally had their back to me. They had all done their set and they were done, which whatever, they're out. So that was it. It wasn't actually my first open mic. I just said that because a few people asked, and it was a lot easier than saying no, it's my third.
Yeah.
It was my first open mic that lasted that late. Usually I go to ones that on at 6 or 8, and that's I'm realizing now a much more innocent sort of vibe. This one, so for context for everyone, we went to a open mic that is in Toronto, open until late. It started at 9:30, but they had professional comics on first, and then it was an open mic afterwards, probably about 11 p.m. That lasted maybe until 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Did those comics, the paid,
Yeah.
they pay to go on, or they got paid?
I don't
They got
think
paid.
Oh,
They
they
got
did get
paid.
paid.
Yeah. It's a paid show. I think. I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty
wow.
sure.
I've seen some of those people at open mics before, though.
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm
they do both.
Maybe.
Okay.
There's
so
a lot
I
of
thought they were
comics-
just trying to get on, get stage time. You gotta pay to get stage time. You know what I mean?
No, there's a lot of comics that you'll see them at open mics trying new shit and also just practicing, right? I see a lot of comics, they do a mix of open mics, paid shows, Some I guess mainly do paid shows, some mainly do open mics, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was a paid show, so.
Damn, I can't believe that. There was one guy, I can't remember his name, probably best if we don't even say it, but he stood at the corner of our table the entire... Do you remember the last guy?
Wait, which dude?
The big arms dude.
Oh yeah.
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 Stood at the corner of our table, had like a really deep voice. I like found him kind of attractive to begin with. I was like, yes, daddy, say more. And then he basically, but like it just fully turned into like verbal abuse.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like it was sexy the first 2 times, and then after that, I was like, no, this hurts now. Stop. Like enough.
Yeah,
I know
like
I'm
roasting
new.
us. Like, dude, what the fuck, man?
He kept calling us babies. He kept saying that, like, I don't know, he was gonna fuck us, and I was like, you'd fuck a baby? What is happening here?
No, you know the thing that bothered me the most. He was just like, I've been doing this for 15 years. This is the best you're gonna get.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on, man. You're saying this to a bunch of comics that are just starting out.
Yeah.
Is it really? Is this the best?
No. You just take it out on like the newbies. Are like, I've been doing this 15 years.
Yeah.
The only joy I get is
you
from
guys are laughing at my
babies.
jokes. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, it was an overall very rough mic, and I think by the time that we went up, any audience members had left.
Yeah.
So you're really just sitting there with comics that are waiting to go up.
Yeah.
So they don't give a shit about you. Like, they just want to go up and practice their stuff, right?
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of open mics are. And it's kind of good, though, because it's like, if you can get up in front of a bunch of comics and do your thing. Like, I was talking to some guys last night, and they're like, if I get a chuckle at an open mic from another comic, I'm like, this is good shit. Like, this is stuff that, like, if there's an actual audience that's paying to come and laugh, like, they're gonna really like it, you know? But other comics, you know, like, if I get called at 1 a.m. to an open mic, there's 5 people left. They all fucking hate me because they just want to go. Like, they just want to perform, right? So it's like, if you can get like a little chuckle out of them, you're like, okay, this is good shit, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's good to hear. I got 1 chuckle.
So you're doing great.
I got 1 chuckle from one person.
Just one guy.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like, great, stand up for 1 person. Here we go.
I think it was just you and other Jamie who just laughed at my joke. I'm like, all right, that's it.
I'm such a cheerleader. Like, I want like 1,000 me's in my own crowd. Even if it's not funny, I'm there in the fucking back, like a mum. I'm like a mum, just in the back, just proud of you.
I actually remember because, okay, so the chair was thrown during my set, and then I'm just standing there with my microphone being like, what the fuck do I do? And then I sat back down, and they reintroduced me, and you were like the first one to come in, and you're like, you're gonna do great, like everyone's gonna come back around.
I love the way you're holding your hands as well. Like
it's gonna be awesome. Like, we're all here to listen to you, and like everyone's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, thank you to this one fucking guy who's like trying to hype me up. And then I remember performing, and you were like trying to look so intently at me, like, great job.
You got
know?
this. Yeah.
You got this.
I know. I really felt like we were talking just before the podcast was on about like, so the reason why I got into comedy, people pleaser, but also narcissist. So my people pleasing like really comes out when I'm in the crowd. Because like I want the person, especially as we were sat in the front row, which I didn't realize, because he was like, you guys should move to a different table. And we were like, okay, cool. And then we moved to a different table, and he put the mic right in front of us. And I was like, no. So so I was just staring really intently at everyone, just like clapping whether they were saying anything or not. And then just like, I only laugh if I find it funny, but my laugh is quite loud. So it sort of like hopefully entices other people to chuckle as well.
People pick up on each other, right? Like if one person laughs, other people will kind of either tune in and be like, oh, something's funny, and then they're listening to you now, or they'll kind of like laugh along. Like, I always compare it, you know, like the Big Bang Theory, and they have the laugh track. And have you seen those episodes where they take out the laugh track and it's like not funny
just
at
like
all?
on YouTube.
It's like painful. But when you hear the laugh track, you're like, oh, that's funny. And you kind of register it as funny, right? Like, obviously I want to be funny to people, not just because other people are laughing, but it's like, it's very contagious, right?
It really is.
But that was a rough mic. I don't think anyone was listening to each other at that mic.
I don't think so either.
That was my thing.
To begin with, we were, and then I don't know what the professionals. Most of them disappeared. There was like half of them left, and then I guess with the rest of the open mics, like everyone's either nervous or whatever else, but the mood in the room had sort of changed. Everyone was just, I want to get mine done and then I want out of here.
Well, especially after the chair was thrown, right? Because
seriously,
I tape every set, so I watched them back to see. And I heard, like, in my set, there would be a little sound, like a little bang or like someone moving behind the bar, and everyone's face was just like, what's going on, right? Because they were all on edge from like the fight that had just happened. So it's like no one was really like mentally there.
Right.
But you kind of think if I can do that and I can, you know, do an open mic like that, then like a fucking paid show is like a joke.
That'll be fine.
You know?
Yeah, no one's throwing chairs.
No one's throwing
Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to the Poorhouse?
I
They
have
do
not.
Sundays and Mondays.
No.
I think they only do one day out. Like they
I
changed
love that
it.
it's called the Poorhouse though. That's class.
Pour. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so it's funny because someone mentioned that open mic to me yesterday, and I was like, the porn house? Like, what are you talking about? Like, get away from me, you creep.
Yeah, what kind of open mic is this?
Yeah, and he was like, poor. And I'm like, oh, well, now I'm the one who has the dirty mind thinking this, you know?
I think that one's really supportive. That's
Yeah.
where I saw a lot of them, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm sure I saw the, he wasn't Asian, like the small Mexican guy.
Oh my God, yes.
Seen him there.
He recently added me on Instagram. I can't remember his name.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That guy, I don't know, he had a different set of the open mic, but he was part of the paid show.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about? Like the tall, like brown. He wasn't black.
The guy that had like the little missing.
Yeah, that
bit of
guy.
his
He was there.
Finger was missing.
Yeah. That guy was fucking funny.
That was
fuck.
really
Was it
funny.
Justin?
Do you know I can't remember?
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names. I know exactly what he looks like.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
He was there. He was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I saw one of the girl from the paid shows. Do you remember her joke? It was just like something. Oh, I'll ask you about your pronouns. Do you remember that one? She was like one of the first or second.
Mickey?
It was a girl. She walked up with the blind guy.
Oh.
Do you remember the blind guy?
Oh yeah. Oh, he was brilliant.
Yo, he was really funny.
He walks right up. Are we ethics? Should we say other people's jokes even if they're really really funny? Because I don't know if he's then gonna go on to
Probably not.
a show, right?
Yeah, maybe not the punchline. Maybe
Right.
maybe just like what it's about.
It's literally just a one-liner as he walks up.
Yeah, you can just say it's funny.
It's
That's what I
really
would do.
okay.
Yeah.
So this guy visually impaired. I don't think he sort of like described it a little bit. He's not like fully blind, but he did walk up with like someone was helping him. He had like a stick to sort of like help him get about. And then his I think half of his set was about him being blind, and like it was so fucking good.
Yeah, it was actually really fucking good.
Brilliant. He's like playing with the stick as well. He's using it as a prop. He's making jokes out of that as well.
Yeah.
It was fair play to him. And then the other half of his set had nothing to do with his visual impairment, and that was amazing as well. I thought he was really really good. There are like a handful. I'd say actually all the paid comics were good.
Yeah.
Some of them were better than others. That's subjective depending on what you find funny. But then they were all really good. It was just that last dude who just fucking tripped me out. He was scary.
Yeah, he was quite scary.
He was scary. Yeah, he was like towering over
He's
us.
like, you're the first buff Asian dude I've ever seen on a thanks, man. I'm like, am I about to get in a fight or something?
Yeah. He just saw you as a
I had my
threat.
guard up. That's why I was like flexing.
I love that he just glazed right over me. He was like, and the rest of you women, I was like, yes. Yes, sweetie. You're doing great, sweetie.
Oh my god.
Just never blinking as I'm staring at him.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god. So we were talking beforehand. You've only been doing this for about a month now, which is crazy because we saw Monica's open mic. I'd argue you were probably the best open mic that we saw.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're
I
really
appreciate that.
Really, really good.
Thank
really
you.
good.
Thank you.
And then since then, I followed your Instagram, and I found that like you did a show. Did you do a show yesterday?
Yesterday was my first show.
Incredible.
Was it
How
the
did it go?
Monday football one? Was it that
Fool's
one?
Ball.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
Comedy Bar, eh?
At Comedy Bar, main stage.
Yeah, that's
I-
crazy.
It was-
Your first ever show, Comedy Bar main stage.
It was fucking scary. It was basically what happened was Brandon, the guy who booked the show,
Right.
he messages me like a week ago because my first show was supposed to be Fresh Breath, which is like new comics, you know,
Okay.
like all my friends and family are coming. Like it's next week. It's like 30 people, very chill. So that's what I was going into this with. You know, it's going to be my first show. Yay. And Brandon messages me last week and he goes, hey, I'm not sure if I should take this space, but if you can get like 3 to 5 people together and we get like 20 people in total, you know, maybe we'll make a show. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I look at the tickets being sold and there's 95. And I'm like, okay, maybe we just got this big space. You know, we'll sell 20 tickets. It'll be chill.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the show was yesterday on Monday. On Sunday, it's sold out.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
shit,
And I
eh?
was
Like
like, what?
100 people.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We sold 95 tickets. And I was like, what the fuck? And then my friends were messaging me because I told a few of them about it. You know, I'm trying to get my 3 to 5 fucking people. And they're like, Monica, the tickets are sold out. Like, can you get me a ticket? And I messaged the guy booking it, Brandon, and I'm like, can we get extra tickets? He's like, no, it's fucking sold out. I'm like, this is like a real show, right? And so
It is now.
it is now.
Yeah.
And so we're on the main stage, and I'm like, I really want someone to tape this. Like, one of my friends was in the audience, and Brandon is like, oh, it's being professionally filmed from 3 different angles.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what the fuck have you gotten me into on this shit?
Yeah.
And like,
there are agents here as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Hollywood is here.
Yeah, fucking like Chris Rock is here, just like scouting.
Will Smith is also here as well, so no other people.
Yeah, no pressure. And then I was looking at the comics on the show, right? And I looked up some of their Instagrams, and I had seen some of them before, and I'm like, these are all really good fucking comics. Like, some of them are newer than others, but they're all very strong. Like, I was like, it is an honor to share a stage with these people, but like, I've never done a show. So people were like in the backstage, they were like, oh, how many shows have you done? What show is this? And I'm like, bro, I've never done a show. Like, this is, and they're
how
like,
did they
what
react?
the fuck?
Yeah.
It's, Brandon,
Were
the
they,
guy
like,
booking it.
mind-blown?
By the way, plug for Brandon. He's the best. He makes, like, he's like my big brother in comedy. But he makes it very like family, like,
That's
oriented.
great.
Like, he
That's
brought
nice.
Tim Biebs backstage.
Oh, bless him.
I know, it's so cute.
What's his second name again?
His what?
His second name.
Like
to
his
give him,
last name?
His last name.
Brandon
yeah.
Sakai.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
That's who he is. Look him up. He's great.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. What's interesting about comedy is I thought the people would be bigger assholes, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And everyone has just been so welcoming. Like, it's crazy. It's like, I feel like I'm part of a family, and every person that I meet is like so open and, wants to share. Like, we all want to share in this together. Like, we all do this because we're into it. We love it, you know? But yeah, so everyone was like, oh, it's your first show. They were like excited for me. They were like pumping me up. I think we were all under the impression that it was going to be this like casual show. And then all of a sudden we're like fucking main stage, 3 cameras, like 100 people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I practiced. I'm here. I mean, whether it's 9 people or 95, it's my set, right? Yeah. And then, my good friend Kenley too, plug for Kenley. She was the one hosting the show.
Amazing.
And she just pumped me up. She's like, Monica, you were booked for a reason. All you have to do is your average, which I really liked that phrase.
Oh, that's good.
She's like, don't aim for perfection.
Just
like,
aim for average.
Just aim for your average, And then you kind of calm down. You're like, if I'm average, it's good enough. So yeah, it was nice. And they just made it calm. And I went up, I did my thing. I got some laughs, and I psych myself out, because I'm just like, I always watch my tape after so that I can like hear the laughs and the beats and everything. But I didn't get anyone to tape it because they got it professionally filmed. So I'm waiting for the film.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like I go through phases. Like, when I first started, I'm like, I'm the funniest fucking person
Oh my God.
alive.
Before I ever started, I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm just like, I think if I get started, I'll end up completing it. I'll
Yeah.
be the first person to ever complete stand-up.
Like, I'll be like, I'm going to go up. I'm going to kill it every time.
Every
like,
time.
I'm just so fucking funny, right?
Yeah, on the tits.
So, yeah. So I go through that phase. And then the next day I'll be like, I am shit.
I am trash person.
I'm literal trash. How is anyone laughing at anything I say? Like,
Yeah.
all my shit's garbage. And you kind of go through these things, and then you see other comics and you're like, I'm trash.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to write anything good again in my whole life. But that's kind of, I think, what it is,
really
like
is.
I talk to people about it and they're like, that's literally normal,
It's so weird trying to learn with like this roller coaster. The 2 things I've sort of like tried to make a promise to myself is like, don't do it. Like, don't let fear of looking stupid stop you, and don't let fear of failure stop you.
Yeah.
And the fear of looking stupid is overwhelming all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like I do like stupid little videos on Instagram, and like they're always me acting like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
Then I go out on stage and make fun of myself. I wouldn't say I'm the world's funniest person, but I am definitely trying the hardest to be funny out of anyone else in the world, I think. Like, I'm swinging for the fences every fucking sentence, and like 50% of the time I land on something, and the other 50% fucking stupid.
Well, that's what it is, right? I
Yeah.
mean, something that we always talk about at open mics is like, no great comic has not bombed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a great comic, you've tried shit because you're risky.
Yeah.
And some of that shit bombs really hard. But on the other end of that, you've tried shit and you're risky, and it's so unique.
Yeah.
And it's so you, and it just kills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a great comic, you bomb a lot, right? I think what's hard for me and what I need to start learning and leaning into is like when you say a joke and you say the punchline and you pause and there's no laughter.
Yeah.
Like I need to like keep the pause because that's my beat. Okay, I got no laughs. I can change it next time. But sometimes I'll hear that there's kind of no laughter. So I'll just like race into the next thing.
Me too.
But you see good comics pausing and no one laughs, but they still just like move on gracefully, you know? They're like, okay, well, fuck it.
It's this huge confidence that you kind of have to have. And it's like, it is a skill as well to be like no matter the reaction that you're getting back, you have to not only be reading the room as at the same time that you know that a joke is going to land funnier. And also, if you start talking really quickly, people are going to lose the words that you're saying.
Exactly.
They're going to feel that you're stressed or you're nervous. That affects the mood of the entire room if you start to get like nervous or stressed.
Yeah.
And then like that's something I had exactly like a very, maybe not exactly the same problem, but a similar problem. I was so nervous about silence that when people were laughing, I was talking through the laughter.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, within your laugh, I can get another joke out, and then you'll laugh at that joke, and then it's just non-stop laughter. That's not how laughing works.
That is not how laughing works, no.
So like I would talk over people, then a big laugh would get cut very quickly.
Yeah.
Because and also like when you're in the middle of a laugh and then somebody's sort of like, I don't know, say you're like laughing with your friend, someone comes up to you and is like, oh, I'm sorry, where are the directions to so and so, and you like almost swallow your own laughter.
Yeah.
It's like such a weird feeling to be like, it's over there on the and like I was just forcing people into that every time. So that I definitely have to learn how to pause, like take your time, be confident with it.
That was one of the first things Rihanna told me. I think it was like the first or second class.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe third. Like she was saying how like I just speak through the laughter because I'm like so nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing a tour. Oh, by the way, my day job is I'm an adventure tour guy. Like I travel through Canada and stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah.
It's good practice for comedy too. You're talking all day.
Yeah, I'm like talking on a mic and everything.
Public speaking. Yeah.
So I remember my boss, my trainer, she was with me, watching me do my first introduction to the people, and then she was just like, oh, ask them if they're having fun. But I was so nervous. So I was just like, hey guys, like we're gonna explore Halifax today. We're gonna explore the Maritimes. How are you guys feeling? Are you guys doing good? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is what we're doing. I was
shut the fuck up! I'm talking.
I was like nervous as fuck doing that. But
That's rhetorical. This is called the Joe Show.
I think, some of my favorite moments is, and when I watch back my tapes, my favorite tapes are when I pause for laughter and there's laughter, and then I keep pausing and there's kind of like a second wave of the laughter because people also take a minute to tune into what you're saying, right? Like it may not hit right away because you've practiced your bit a million times. You know exactly what's coming, what you're saying, and so you're like, okay, here are the jokes. But people are hearing this for the first time, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go slow and you have to pause because people have to take it in, right?
Yeah.
Give them a second. And sometimes you don't get a laugh in that first millisecond of the pause too, but then people are like, oh, and then they tune in and there's like a huge laugh, you know? But it's a very scary thing to do because when you pause and you don't get that laughter at first, you're like, oh, fuck, it's not funny. I need to jump into the next thing, scrap it, like move on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's scary.
I hated that feeling.
Okay, what do you guys think of this? Because I was talking to Paul.
Okay.
Like I was driving him home.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I feel like I'm not fucking funny. I'm like, should I just throw my whole set out? Bro, restart, bro. Like, how often do you guys write new sets? And like,
That's a good question.
you know, like, do you know, like, how do you know your set's funny? And then how do you know when to just like throw it all away, just like fucking burn it, just restart the whole thing? You know what I mean?
Monica, we could really go with your expertise on this as somebody who's
My
done the main
expertise.
stage of Comedy Lab.
Paid show.
To 100 people.
Professionally filmed.
Comedy
You paid
bar,
for it as
yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
shit.
Yes.
Damn.
Thank you.
Monica Gross killing it immediately, straight out the gate.
Making jokes for a living.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Okay, my advice on that, it's a really interesting question because when I first started, you know how I was saying I'm the funniest fucking person?
Yeah.
So I had these stories that were really funny. So I tell them and I'm so into it, right? Because it's my first time telling it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was awesome. And then I go back to a mic the next week and I'm telling the same shit. and I'm not as into it anymore because I've already said this shit, right? So I'm like at a point where I'm getting bored of my own material.
Oh God, that's happened to me as well, yeah.
And you kind of become robotic with it too, because you're just like going through the motions and you're not as like into the moment. Like it's like telling your friends a story for the 5th time. Like you're like, I've told this 4 times, I'm bored, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm trying to work through. Advice I got from another comic actually was never throw out anything, because as you advance in comedy, you're going to find your voice, you're going to find your style, and some of that stuff that didn't work at first because you were nervous or because you didn't, you know, have your stage presence down or you didn't have your voice, it might work now. Right. It might be something that you could rewrite, that you could tune up, you know? For me, something I do is I kind of go on tangents because I don't have clear beats and I'll kind of go off on, you know, different story paths.
Nice.
But there's certain things where it's like, as time goes on and I'm realizing, okay, I have to tighten this stuff, I could take that stuff that may not have hit at first because I'm going on too many tangents, tighten it up, do it with like my voice, and, you know, now it could be something that hits. So I think my advice would be, don't scrap anything, but at the same time, like, if you have one set only and you're doing it like night after night and you get no laughs at all, like, okay, maybe try something else at that point, you know? Like, I don't want to say like you're going to come back to me in 5 years and be like, Monica, I took your advice. I've been doing the same set every night.
I never throw anything away, but I never do anything new. Like, that's not what I said.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting because I feel like for me, my comedy style is very much my own personal experiences, storytelling, whatever. So I have all this stuff that I want to say, and, you know, I'm trying this, I'm trying that. And even last night, you know, like one of my friends came up to me and he was like, oh, I really wanted you to do like this little bit that I saw on your Instagram or something, or like, I like this style. And like, I'm still finding my voice of what works, what doesn't. And then at the same time, what's a voice too? It's just myself, right? Like, that's my comedy style. So I think it's just a learning process, and my biggest recommendation to see what's funny and what's not funny, because you can be writing in your room and be like, this is hilarious, or
I'm
I
the
don't
fucking funniest person that's ever lived. This is the funniest shit I've
this
ever
is
written.
the funniest shit. Or you could be writing in your room and be like, is this even funny?
Oh my God.
Because I do that sometimes too. I write something and I'm just like, is this even a joke? Like, is this even like laughable in any sense of the word? The best thing to do is go to open mics and try out your shit. Because I guess there's some open mics that are more intense than others, but some, it's like you see comics get up and they're like, I'm gonna try new shit tonight. They pull out their notebook, they're literally reading jokes, they look at the audience doesn't laugh, they're like, okay, that didn't work, moving on to the next one. And that's what it is, you know? So that's a good thing. Like, I don't think I'd ever do a paid set or like a real set without trying it at an open mic first. That would be, even though last night I kind of did that, but whatever.
Were you trying new stuff out?
So I told you like 4 years ago I had done an open mic. And I did like this fundraiser thing.
We still need to get the first, just for the first half of that. 4 years ago, did you ever try an open mic? There we go. We can just edit that back.
Yes, edit it back in. Yes. 4 years ago specifically.
Specifically 4 years ago.
Yeah. You knew it was 4 years. Yeah.
What made you get into it 4 years ago?
Okay, so I'll just tell this whole my life story, I guess.
Okay.
From birth.
It was a rainy Tuesday.
Came out of the womb crying. It was hilarious.
Started writing immediately.
Yeah. So basically 4 years ago, I was working at a corporate job, and one of my friends came up to me and she was like, I'm holding this fundraiser.
Don't worry about that.
30 minutes.
It's been 30 minutes. Yeah. This one's about to do it in a bit.
Yeah. So professional.
I know. No other cameraman. It's just robots and shit.
I'm Jamie Mummer. I supplied the water and the abode.
We got 30 more minutes. We got 30 more minutes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, so 4 years ago, my friend came up to me at my corporate job and she was like, you're really funny. I'm doing a fundraiser called Cringeworthy, where you tell a cringeworthy story about like you as a kid, so like your first kiss, like whatever it is. Do you want to do a set? And I was like, I've never done comedy in my life, but I was like, sure. because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like,
Right.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, okay, it's some fundraiser. I'll talk for 5 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being at the Opera House in front of
Bloody hell.
300 people.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like, this is quite the fundraiser.
Monica doesn't do small crowds. She only does hundreds.
Hundreds, or you can't book me. No.
Yeah, it better be sold out. Okay, whatever it is, it better be fucking sold out. I don't want my friends being there. I want it to be sold out.
OnlyFans. Oh my God, OnlyFans.
She only does
Only
OnlyFans.
my fans.
OnlyFans.
Monica does OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.com/Monica. Monica does comedy.
Monica does comedy, not OnlyFans. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I did this fundraiser, and all my friends came and everything, and it was kind of just like beginner's luck. Like, I went on stage and just fucking YOLO'd really for like 10 minutes. And everyone was like, you're so funny, you have to get into comedy, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like, it's something I could try. So then a few weeks later, that's when I thought I was like the funniest person on earth, right? Because
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that would be what a rush.
Yeah.
Like 300 people.
cheering. I watched my tape back. People were like laughing so hard they were like fucking crying. Like, it was like insane,
Whoa,
right?
Damn.
So I was like, I'm so funny. I don't even have to try at this. I'm just gonna like go to open mics and like smash it and like have a Netflix special. Like, I'm the best, right?
Immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I go to an open mic and I fucking bomb like so
No
hard.
way. Was it the same story you did?
Yeah, was it the same set?
No.
Okay.
I wrote like new shit because I'm like, I can write, like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm brilliant.
Like, I did
you
that
know?
straight off the top of the dome. Imagine if I
yeah.
put some sort of effort into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is so easy. And I remember being at the open mic and people had their notebooks and they were writing, and I'm like, I don't need to do that. Like, I'm so funny. Anyways, I wasn't. So yeah, I completely bombed on that. And then I was just so scared. And I remember saying to my mom, actually, I was like, why would I even do this based on like the downside of it? Because the feeling of bombing was like so rough at that
Right.
time. And also it was just, again, it was a weird vibe night. Like, no other comics spoke to me. Like, they had all like apparently like flown in from LA and were using this open mic to like test new shit. Like, one of my friends came who
Whoa.
was really into comedy, and he's like, I've seen these people on like Sirius XM. Like, it was like an intense thing or whatever. So it was just a weird vibe, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And my mom's like, no, like, you have a gift, you know? Like, you have to do this. And so I was playing with the idea, but I was kind of busy. I went traveling, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like this series of like, oh, maybe one day, you know? And then in COVID, I went through like a really hard time. I'd say like December 2021, January. And I've always used humor to like cope, you know?
Yeah.
But we were in a lockdown, so I couldn't talk to anyone.
No, it was the worst.
So I turned to TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Follow me on TikTok, Monica Gross 22. Plug for myself. But I turned to TikTok, and you know what you were saying before we started, it's like fucking embarrassing. Like, I'm 28 years old. I'm posting these fucking little videos on this like social media platform, but I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, literally no one cares. And so I'm posting these little videos, and one of them goes viral.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, okay, like, this is a cool thing. Like, maybe I could, you know, make something of this. And
Yeah.
it's something I like to do. I was feeling very lost in life at the time.
Okay.
You know, with my career, like with COVID, it was very hard on me. So I was like, okay, let's like try this out.
Yeah.
And then once you hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can go live. So I started going live on TikTok and talking to people who were following me. And they were like, what's the goal? You know, like, what do you want to do here? And I had never really said stand-up comedy as something I wanted to do, because I had really suppressed it at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You felt like you bombed so hard, you were like, never again. I'm just going to close that box.
Yeah.
And, like, life's a lot simpler when you just sort of like
Close the box.
close the box. Like, kind
Yeah.
of Siths only deal in absolutes, but it is so much easier to just deal in a like, I had a bad time and I'm out and I'm never doing it again.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like you kind of stop yourself from the pain of it. And like, comedy is such a personal thing to me. Like,
Right.
it's not a hobby, you know? It's like a coping mechanism. It's my life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I was younger, like, I wasn't the coolest or the prettiest, but like, I could make people laugh.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it kind of becomes this survival tactic, this coping mechanism, like this everything to me.
Yeah.
So to be shut down from that like years ago, kind of, it's like it's so hard, you know. Like this is something I actually give a shit about, like my humor, you
like
know,
it's part of your identity. To feel like that part of your identity was missing when it's something that's so clearly very key to you,
exactly,
and a huge part of your happiness, I imagine.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, I'm still funny even if I bomb this open mic. I'm funny with my friends, you know, like I still have humor outlets. But COVID, I didn't.
You got none of that.
I got none of it. So, you know, I kind of started gaining my confidence back through like public speaking with humor and TikTok. It was a really good starting point because...
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, because it's like you post something and it's like you don't have to see the reaction right away, you know?
It's true.
And it's like if
I posted one this morning. I always put my phone in airplane mode.
I
literally, like, I leave it for 3 hours and then I come back and I look at all the likes like it's your birthday on Facebook.
The dopamine hit.
Ooh, what a rush.
That I get from TikTok likes.
Oh my God.
The first time I went viral on TikTok, I don't think I slept for 48 hours. I was like on such a high. I was like at 4 a.m. like refreshing the likes.
Whoa.
Like it was fucking crazy.
How viral? Like 1 million?
No.
200? Okay,
Just throw out the highest fucking number so I can be like, no, I guess actually wasn't viral.
Billion? What are we saying?
The first one, like 200,000.
Oh, word.
Yeah, so I consider viral like anything over 100K.
Okay,
That's like my standard of viral.
Yeah.
Holy shit, yeah.
But what I found really interesting with TikTok is like I have about like 2,000 followers, which considering like it's not like I'm a huge influencer, you know.
No,
We're
I've got
not
100. You're doing amazing.
Yeah, but it's like people. This is gonna sound so fucking obnoxious, but like people like know me, if that makes sense. Like people from my hometown will be like people that I barely know will come up to me and be like, oh hey, like are you sponsored yet on TikTok? Like you're so famous. Like my friend of a friend shared your video, like whatever. And it's kind of weird because it's like I only have 2,000 followers, but I look at the other analytics, like the shares, for example. Because if something gets like 2,000 shares, like that's a pretty wide like range,
a big reach.
You know?
Yeah. You're reaching a lot of people.
Yeah, one of my friends' friends in New York got sent one of my videos being like, oh, this girl's so funny.
No way.
And my friend was like, I know her, like personally, you know?
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that shit is cool. And so anyways, it kind of...
Tiny little taste of fame there. Like
Tiny
it's the first
little
taste, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when I started going on TikTok lives and people were like, what are the goals? Like, what do you want to do? And at first I was like, I just want to have fun. And still, I just want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I started kind of talking like, well, maybe one day stand-up comedy. And it was kind of like pulled back out of me.
Right.
If that makes sense. And everyone's like, you have to do it. Like, I'd come see you. Like, not that I need external validation to do things.
Oh my God, but it helps.
It helps. It helps when something's kind of like suppressed, right?
Yes.
So then I went to an open mic and I just wanted to check it out. I didn't want to perform, right?
Okay.
And I messaged one of my friends to come with me and she was like, I'll come, but she was coming from the suburbs. So she was like, if I'm coming all the way from the suburbs, you're performing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to perform. I just want to check it out. She's like, this is something you want to do. Go do it. Like, who gives a shit? Like, it's an open mic. And I was like, okay. So I prepare my 5 minutes or whatever. I go up. She films it for me. And it went well. Like, was it the best set of anyone's life? No. But it went well, and I felt good, you know?
Yeah.
And I met, again, like, people in comedy. They're so nice. Like, it's just so surprising because I thought they would all be assholes. And, like, even the next week, I went back to that open mic, and they remembered my name. Like, they were just like, hey, Monica. It is, you know?
It really is.
And, so yeah, I taped it, and then that night was when I met Brandon Zakai.
Right.
And he didn't see my set, but I just said what my intentions were, you know? Like, I want to get into comedy. I want to do this. And he's like, did you tape your set? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, send me your set. I'm always looking for new comics.
Amazing.
And ever since then, you know, like he's really been helping me and booking me on shows and getting me seen. And you know, I think it's all about, like, my first open mic after my 4-year thing was May 6th.
Okay.
And my first show last night was June 6th.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it
was literally exactly a month from the
That's
first open mic to the
crazy.
first show.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
I know.
So you did the open mic. discovered that like I'm okay, like I am good at this.
Yes.
Just kidding. 4-year hiatus. I can do this. I am the
let me
world's
chill for a
funniest fucking
second.
person, actually. And those lot are just a bunch of fucking losers. Yeah, and then afterwards you kind of like had a bit of a sit down, or like a little bit looked internally and thought like, oh, okay, I really want to do this. Yeah. That's amazing.
Because the things that you want to do can be like the scariest things, you know?
Yeah,
like
truly.
Things that I don't give a shit about. Exactly. Like I went through school and like became an accountant, right? And it's like none of that was hard. Like you study, you don't actually give a shit. You're just like, oh, like job security,
money,
like,
please.
Yeah, like everything's fine, whatever. But I was like so unhappy. But it's like to actually do something that makes you like truly happy, you're putting a lot on the line, right? Like I'm going up there and I'm like, laugh at me. And it'll be great to get to a point where I'm like, I don't really give a shit if people laugh or not. Like I'm doing this for me, but I've also kind of learned my place and what works for me.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but it's like I just have to keep remembering like this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
There's just a chapter in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I don't know if you
I've heard of
I've seen the book everywhere. Yeah.
He talks about how don't define your goals of like what do you want to do. Define it as like what do you want to suffer from? Like suffer from bombing. Like you want to be a comic, but like are you okay with suffering from bombing, from being laughed at, like all those types of things? If it's worth it, then that's the only thing that matters. Like I don't mind sitting down for like 12 hours just like staring at a screen editing my stuff, but if I'm editing it for someone else and I don't want to do it, I also don't mind being laughed at and like being cringe as well. I've been making content since I was like in 4th grade, and there's a lot of cringy shit still on the internet somehow. So please guys, don't look it up.
So
everyone just close the podcast to look up all your cringe shit.
Yeah, seriously.
But like being cringe, like being laughed at, being like just bombing, I think that's like what you should not be looking for, but like being okay with.
Well, that's
a big part of it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I went through, right? Like, I bombed and I stopped.
Yeah.
I stopped for 4 years, right? And then I kind of realized, like, the only failure and the only way that I'm actually going to be unhappy is if I don't do this.
Right.
If I go up and bomb, like, that's not going to make me as unhappy as just not doing it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like, what are you willing to suffer from? Like, I'd rather bomb sets than never do a set again in my life.
Right.
So it's just like keeping that in mind. Like even like last night, like it went well, but it freaked me out so much. Like my stomach was in knots all day, to say the least, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like you just kind of have to come back to the idea that it's like I'm getting to do what I love.
Yeah.
And so, there's going to be moments where I'm like, I'm so shit. Why the fuck am I doing this? I'm not funny at all. Like, I am trash compared to everyone.
Yeah.
And you're going to be so hard on yourself. Like, I'm going to watch my tape from last night and go through it, like, detail by detail.
Oh, my God.
But you just kind of have to
Punish
take
yourself all the way through as well.
Yeah.
You should have paused longer.
Yeah.
Wow. I've had open mics that were better than this.
Exactly. But it's like you kind of... I just have to remember to take a step back and take the perspective to be like, I fucking love this.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And sometimes stress is good because it means you care about something. You know?
True.
If I was just like, fuck it, like, that means I don't...
Whatever, I'm going to go up and gives a shit. Then
exactly.
It's like, well, you don't give a shit.
Exactly.
So like, and also, if you don't, then why should we? Kind of
exactly.
thing. And that kind of like vibe or energy, I don't know, whatever, definitely comes across in a crowd. If you like, I've seen a few stand-ups like that who are like clearly are funny, but they also think that like being funny is almost something that should just be given to them.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't know, like I was funny back in 2012, so like just fucking laugh.
Exactly.
Like that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird energy, I guess.
Well, I think the problem too is like what I was saying, like people can get bored of their own sets.
I got bored of mine so quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got bored of mine so fast. And so I've heard like 2 schools of thought on that. Number 1 is like just suck it up because you're doing what you love to do. Act, like pretend you're into it. And also remember that people in the audience have never heard it before.
Right.
So that's the one school of thought. The other school of thought is like keep reworking stuff to kind of like, if it's not interesting to you anymore, because maybe you have new perspectives now or you've seen other comics and you want to refine it. So that's kind of what I do. Is like I keep refining it for myself.
That makes it a little bit more interesting for you because it's something new every time.
Exactly.
Plus, you know the stuff that's like really funny. You're obviously keeping. You're not changing that unless you find something that's even funnier, and that's just like that's a win-win. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like you see comics and. If they go on like countrywide tours, they're doing the same thing every night.
Every time.
Yeah.
And they're saying like yesterday this happened to me. Like it was probably fucking 5 years ago. It wasn't yesterday, you know?
When they're laughing at their own joke and you're like, you're not really laughing. You just kind of forgot what you were going to say. And then you can like see it when they come back. And they go like, oh, it's so stupid. Anyway, and then they go like, and all these like little tips and tricks, which are really, really cool. And also like, I do think that is such a skill in itself to like make it sound like it's the first time you're saying it.
Yes.
By saying like, oh, I was talking to this dude yesterday, or laughing at your own stuff, or laughing at your own story kind of thing.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like you get to connect with the crowd a little bit more because it feels very more conversational rather than like this is a lecture and I've done this 1,000 times.
Exactly. Well, you can tell when someone's like there, if that makes sense. Like when they're in the moment. Versus when they just like have a script in their head
and they're just going through
and they're just reading it, and that's something that like I want to be able to do because when I tell a set for the first time, I'm there, you know, like
first time is the best time every time.
Best time, right? And then when I tell it the second or the third time, it's like I'm focused more on like, okay, I looked at my first video. What did I refine? Now I'm trying to like do this whole set kind of thing. And I'm not as with the crowd, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And yeah, like some of my best, most fun sets have been like 1 a.m. at a fucking open mic. There's 5 people in the audience, but you're like, I don't give a shit, you know? Like no one gives a shit about me. So you're like, YOLO, and you're just like doing your thing, and it's just such a good set because you don't like, not that you don't care, but you're just like, you have no fear,
just enjoying it.
You're just enjoying it, you know? And so it's like, that's, I want to get to a point where I can be like that, like just enjoying it no matter what the audience is.
I would love that too. Holy self-esteem as well, because you really do. I mean, I feel the same way as you. Like, I truly love it. It's something that I really wanted to get into. I finally got into it. I had no idea how much I would actually, like, really enjoy it. It sounds like for you, you always kind of knew that comedy was, like, a coping mechanism. Were you always, like, writing jokes or anything like that? Or was that something that was all new to you as well?
Writing is new because it's always just been, like, quick wit responses,
like conversational
where it's like people have always been like, you're so funny, but it's not like I'm planning the jokes, and it's not. That's why now when people are like, oh, you're a comedian, like say a joke or like be funny.
Oh my god, I hate that.
Yeah, and they just kind of look at you and you're like, shut the fuck, like that's not how this works.
It doesn't work like that.
You need like a right environment, right atmosphere, not just like on the street, like on a sidewalk.
Like who says like make me laugh and then laughs? Like you have to pick something really left field to get them.
Exactly. And so it's like, I don't know, it's just always been conversational, and it's not that it's something that I think I can lose or get or whatever, but I think I was nervous because I'm like, I'm not trying, and it's just a response to someone. It's not like I'm writing jokes, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't translate, right? Like being funny in conversation versus going up on a stage, because going up on a stage.
Conversation. So it's like a one-person conversation.
Exactly.
Just you talking.
Exactly. And then it's like, there's so many other factors. Like I know so many people that are funny in real life, but they have the stage fright. They don't know how to like write a set. Like they don't want to write a set. They get nervous, whatever. So to be able to translate it is very difficult.
It's really, really tough. I found like a pure love of writing jokes, though, I have to say. If I could pick like one, well, my dream job would to be Phyllis in The Office, but my real but my second dream job would be to write jokes for Phyllis in The Office, because that just I find like it's so, and it's also when I'm writing jokes and I'm not just constantly rehearsing them over and over. The writing jokes for me is when I think I'm the funniest person in the world. Because I'm writing things down. Some of them are good, some of them are not. When you say them out loud, it turns out none of them are. But then like as you're writing, I don't know about you, but like that's when I get like the real high. For me, is when I'm writing. And then it's all just downhill from there. Like I do enjoy the open mics, I do enjoy performing, but the writing, I love that.
For me, it's like the exact opposite. For me, it's just talking.
It's the
Yeah.
performing.
Not even performing on stage, just me talking to someone. Before
You
she
can always
came,
talk to me, Joe.
before
If you
she
want,
came,
you have friends.
when I'm talking just to a friend, like I
Yeah.
feel alive, and like I
Yeah.
know where to throw jokes in.
Yeah.
But then like when I'm on stage, I'm like sweating like a motherfucker.
Oh
my
I'm like, oh
God.
god, I like messed up my. I think I messed up my line a couple times when I was doing the open mic, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible right now. But I like the feeling of just like telling stories, telling
Yeah.
stories. And just like throwing those little jokes in there and shit, but I don't know, like that stage fright. I still need to get, even though I do it for a living, I talk into mic for a living. I still
That's
need
so
to figure
true.
it
You
out.
do it for a living and a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still get stage fright.
I still
that's,
do.
That's good to know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Like, it's such a human element. I'm sure
Yeah.
with practice that
Yeah.
eventually goes away. I get really knobbly knees. My legs literally shake when I'm up on stage, which is all. And I have no control over it. It sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think public speaking was people's number one fear, and the second one was death. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
Oh my god! Wow.
I know, right?
Does that make us the most hardcore people ever?
Yeah, I think
'Cause
so.
I don't feel fucking hardcore, and no one has ever in my entire life or anyone else's life ever called me hardcore. But that would be sweet. If
They
I
call you
was.
the mom.
They
right?
call me the Eileen. Yeah.
Well, they always say they're like, if you can do stand-up comedy, you can do anything. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can't do anything.
Knocking
like,
on
I'm
the pilot's
very
door,
scared
like,
of.
excuse me.
Yeah,
do
like,
anything
I
now.
think that's wrong. Like, they're wrong.
Give me that
you
damn
know?
hat. I'm flying this plane. I can do anything, and then just be on the mic the entire time.
cracking jokes with the passengers.
Hey guys, we're going down. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I don't know. People are like, aren't you scared of public speaking? And it's not like when I was younger in school, I was like excited about going up and doing presentations. Like I get nervous, but I don't really get nervous about the public speaking. I get
Right.
nervous that people are not going to laugh at the jokes.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's where the nerves are. And like what you were saying about writing, like first of all, I hate writing.
No way.
I hate it because it's all in my head. And like I'll just like make my brain works faster than I can write.
Okay.
So I'm writing, but my brain is like on the fifth joke and I'm just like trying to write it down. But yeah, I find it's all in my head and I hate writing. Where was I going with this? I totally forget.
We're
yeah.
just saying what we enjoy most about sort of like the stand-up. Performing,
Yeah.
writing, not writing for you.
Not writing.
Yeah.
What's really interesting though, because you know how you were saying when you write, like you laugh really hard, like at
Yeah,
the
I think I'm
certain
the
parts.
funniest person ever.
It's just always interesting, and I talk to so many comics about this. Is like the beats that you think you're gonna hit, like the
Yeah.
punchlines. Like mine hit sometimes, but sometimes they don't. But the ones that hit the hardest, I don't even write them as jokes. Like they're like part of the story.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everyone starts dying. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this
Yes.
wasn't even like a joke, you
Yeah.
know? And now I'm like, okay, so that's a joke. But then when I say it as a joke, it's like not as funny because what was funny was that I wasn't saying it as a joke. And like
Yeah.
the first time, like it's a learning experience, but it's so interesting to see what hits and what doesn't because it's never what you think.
Yeah.
You know?
It never is. I was just about to talk about that as well, actually. So thank you. That's an amazing segue. I usually love writing, and then when I get to the show, I have no idea. Like, I think that it's funny for
Yeah.
me. And then I'm sure this has happened to you as well, but do you ever write a joke and like you're working really hard on this joke and like you think it's, and by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, this joke is the tits. It might be the joke to kill all jokes. But the one before it took you 2 seconds, you did it in the, like you thought about it in the car or something, wrote it down really quickly. And that's the joke that kills, and
Yeah.
the one that you worked on doesn't really do that well.
Eh.
Or just like doesn't do as well.
Like 100% of the time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
That's why I have to write down everything. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, I never know what's going to be funny. Or
Yeah.
like, what will be funnier than other things?
Yeah.
I kind
You don't
of know what's
know.
going to be funny. I don't really know what's going to be like funniest.
Yeah.
I don't know what other people are going to find funny.
I
Yeah.
remember like I was workshopping one of my bits and I added a new line that I thought was going to be the funniest fucking part of the set. I thought it was going to be so funny.
Like pause for big laugh,
I
pause
did,
for
yeah.
applause, pause for Netflix special. Okay.
Literally, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is going to be like on my Instagram. I'm going to like edit it. So I do the set and I say the line and I'm so excited about it, right? And I just like make it this big thing and I pause. like crickets.
Ooh.
No.
And it's fun. Like I kept moving, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the rest of the set's funny, but I'm just like, how did that not hit?
Seriously.
And like
Did
ship
you get
it.
a little bit like annoyed? I do. When something doesn't land as much as I think it should, there's a tiny part of me that gets annoyed at people.
You know, I tried it
Just
twice.
so fucked up.
I tried it twice because I'm like, maybe it was the crowd, you know?
Yes, yeah,
And
you
then
gotta keep trying it. Yeah.
yeah, and so I tried it again, and I'm like, okay, like once again, like
No!
silence,
Oh.
you know?
God, it hurts the first time, but it hurts even more when it's been confirmed.
Yeah. It was very confirmed, and like it didn't like hurt me just because I had so much other shit around it that like
course.
I had done and it was fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, how the fuck does this not hit? And then this other stuff that I didn't even write as the joke that I've now incorporated as the joke because people die at it is what's hitting. Like, what is happening, you know? But it's like, again, it's like, and that's why I was just going to say I always say as if I've been doing this for 10 years. But like what people always say and what I will say is like tape every single set.
Yeah.
Tape every single thing you do. People are scared to tape because they're like, well, what if I do bad and I have to watch it back? You don't have to watch it back.
No.
Yeah.
Like, but even that set that I bombed 4 years ago, I deleted it. And I'm kind of mad that I deleted it. Because I wish that I could like watch it back and see like, was there anything good? What did I do bad? Whatever.
Right.
So
then
tape
maybe you would've-
everything.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe, sorry,
3
go on.
minute 3 minute time.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
shoot.
Rapid fire the questions. you
Rapid
got?
fire question. I've got them all in my head.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yes. I
Oh
wrote
God,
them down.
rapid fire.
Okay, the first one I actually wanted to ask you this. So
Okay.
what direction do you want to go with your voice with comedy? Yeah, any specific?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I was talking about this yesterday. You know, I think people have kind of seen me so far as like dry humor.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll do stuff where I'm like last night it was a very active set, right? So the feedback is kind of like, well, you know, you're still finding your voice. I want my voice to just be myself, very genuine. I don't really want to put too much focus on finding a specific voice because I think that kind of pigeonholes myself into like, I am this comic.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I just want to be myself.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the best advice, but that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Nice. Rapid fire.
Got
Okay.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Favorite comic?
Oh gosh. It's funny. I don't watch very much stand up.
Oh, that's so
wow.
funny.
I know.
Yeah. I have to admit, I didn't. I do now.
Yeah.
I didn't before I started.
I'm like starting. I always say with this question, have you heard of Aquafina?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like her. I find her voice very unique.
She's
her
so
stuff is
cool.
unique. So
Yeah.
I'll go with that for now.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Oh my God. Yeah. This rapid fire is going really well. What was my other one going to be? Oh yeah. Are you doing this as a hobby or are you hoping to pursue it professionally?
Do you still have the corporate?
I have a part-time
Okay.
job, so I'm not in that corporate anymore. I want to keep going as long as I have fun, and
Okay.
it would be great if it could take me somewhere. I'm just kind of letting the journey go where it wants to go.
Yeah.
I'm also very like, I've always been like, I have to be the best, I have to make money, I have to do this stuff, and I'm kind of trying to tone it back to be like, no, Monica,
Yes.
we're actually trying to like enjoy life now.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Don't
like a
put so
new
much pressure on yourself.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a new concept. Like, if this could take me somewhere, that would be great.
Yeah.
I've made my schedule so that I can have fun, support myself financially, and maybe be able to make this a thing.
Okay.
So yeah, that is my answer.
Nice.
In the
Where do you
rapid
see
fire.
yourself in comedy a year from now?
Oh gosh, I have no clue. I just want to say like having fun and having this kind of be like a staple in my life, I want to say.
Okay.
Like something that's like consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like keep doing mics, keep doing shows, keep being in the community
Yeah.
and doing that.
Nice.
Cool.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think our time is up.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
Yes.
no,
Okay.
so
I know.
sad.
We'll have her on
Damn it.
another time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
Um,
definitely will.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
this was
It was
really fun. Thank you so
awesome.
much for being
Cool.
here.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this podcast. Stay on Average Fools.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Plug yourself.
Shameless plugs. Number 1, TikTok, Monica Gross. Gross is in disgusting 22. That is Monica Gross 22. Instagram, same thing, Monica Gross 22. For all of my upcoming shows, it is on my link tree, which is on both of those bios. Thank you guys so much. I love plugs.
Stay on Average Fools.
Stay on Average Fools. Keep fucking watching.